Here at Paddy Power, we're the home of the Money Back Special, with some incredible offers every single week. Check out the website or app today. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus begambleaware.org.
Hi there, a very warm welcome to the Racing Post Weekend Football Postcast. Bruce Millington, Mark Langdon, Liam Flynn and Paddy Power's Jonathan Smith looking ahead to a great weekend of Premier League action. We will also look elsewhere in Europe and further down the football leagues for the best bets. We've got all the naps and we'll have a they played for both teams as well. So we'll start off though looking back on the Champions League. Match week 1 came and went. Not the best one for the English sides. 1 win, 1 draw, a couple of defeats. What has that done for the betting, Jonathan?
If anything, there's been a little bit of a move for PSG after they beat Real Madrid yesterday evening, in from 15 to 2 into 7 to 1, and there's just been a slight move on Man City. Okay,
so what's the latest thing? Give us a show.
We've got Man City favourites at 3 to 1, Barcelona at 5 to 1, Liverpool 11 to 2, PSG 7 to 1, and Bayern Munich and Juve 17 to 2, Real Madrid 11 to 1, and Atletico Madrid 17 to 1.
Lango, a little bit early to start doing that thing where you blow your fingers and rub them on your collar, isn't it? But you don't win anything in September. But a nice start for your tip, PSG.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen this before with PSG in terms of the group stage. It's all about, can they, translate that once it gets serious into the knockout stage. But I do think we saw what Paris Saint-Germain are trying to do this year. It's a much more humble midfield. He played Idrissa Gueye and Marquinhos in midfield, protecting the back four. And I think that gives them a much better chance as long as he sort of sticks to that. And Idrissa Gueye's been fantastic for them already. I was really surprised that there wasn't that much competition to sign him. He was sort of just allowed to leave Everton. But once you get them two in midfield with Verratti and Di Maria and put the explosiveness of Mbappe, Cavani, Neymar up front, I think you have got the makings of a very good team. And I don't always subscribe to this sort of theory about being bottlers and chokers, because people said that about Spain and then they won 3 in a row. A lot of the time, you just kind of make these things up, really. Germany are a tournament team.
It's trying to put narrative to something that is just happens.
Yeah, I mean, like Germany are a tournament team apart from when they get knocked out early, So it's just one of them things, I think, with Paris. They've had a lot of hard draws as well that people have kind of overlooked. Neymar's been injured for the last 2 knockout stages as well. I think the fact that he was sat up there with Mbappe, who's the sort of darling of the Paris crowd, and Mbappe did an Instagram with him with Neymar. I think that's clearly trying to get the fans back on side. And if you write their team down on paper, probably outside of Man City, it's next best.
I must admit, it's one of those ones. I opened the pull-out on Tuesday, and I saw you tip PSG, and I was quite surprised. But then I read through the case, I thought it makes total sense. So good shout, good start, long way to go.
They get knocked in the last 16.
Exactly, yeah. Liam, what was your big takeout from match week 1?
Yeah, very impressed by Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain. I'd say from match week 1, Barcelona, I'm surprised to see them so close to the head of the market. I thought they were the Dortmund-Barcelona game sort of had the promise of being possibly the best game on Matchday 1, and it actually was a very drab affair. I mean, obviously Dortmund had that missed penalty. They had a chance to take maximum points, and Barcelona just have this issue with scoring away from home in Europe, and for that reason, I don't see why they're so close to the head of the market. I wouldn't be going anywhere near them. City and Paris Saint-Germain would be the 2 for me, and the other team who impressed me were Leipzig. I thought, for me, they were the kind of one of the best group bets at the start of the tournament. Top their section, it's quite a straightforward section, I think, with Zenit, Benfica, and Lyon in there. And obviously they got the win away to Benfica, which was crucial. So getting away wins on Matchday 1 is an excellent start. Timo Werner, terrific forward. And it's brilliant for Julian Nagelsmann as well, because he didn't have a particularly good record in the Champions League with Hoffenheim. So it's nice for him to get that win on the board. So them, and then in terms of individual talent, I mean, Erling Haaland, the young striker for Salzburg, obviously.
As tipped.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, 4-1, great shout.
It's not necessarily the game that stood out to everybody, but turned out to be one of the most entertaining. I mean, Salzburg back in the Champions League after a long absence, and I think they could be a surprise bet in that group. I think they could certainly cause problems for Napoli and Liverpool, so he's one to keep an eye on as well in goal scorer markets, obviously.
Has Roy Keane got a young son who's just coming through as a footballer?
I don't think so. No, yeah, he isn't. No.
He looks a good talent.
You wouldn't want to be. I don't think King Jr. would be going anywhere near this Haaland. He's an absolute powerhouse.
Good prospect. Johnny, what did you learn on Tuesday and Wednesday evening?
I'd probably overlook the Liverpool performance at Napoli. I think they were off the boil. I just think probably City really last night was superb against Donetsk. They didn't let them have a shot, and they just didn't really trouble the Man City defence. And I think PSG were very, very good. They looked very organised, like we did previously discuss, with the two holding midfielders in front of the back four. And I thought they were very good going forward. So yeah, that my take out would probably City and PSG look fairly strong so far.
And if you're having a bet on the Champions League now, Johnny, who would you back?
Who would I back? I would probably would go for. I probably would go for PSG at 7-1.
Okay, Mark, you'll stick with PSG, won't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough one because the last 16 is when it all kicks off, really. But I think they've got as good a chance as anyone outside City. Yeah.
And who's your fancy, Liam?
Yeah, a long way to go, but PSG at the prices as well.
Lovely. 3 votes for PSG. There you go. Let's get stuck into the domestic action. We've got a Friday night game, 8 p.m, Southampton versus Bournemouth, live on Sky Sports. Johnny, take it away with Paddy Power's match prices.
We are 10-11 Southampton, 13-5 the draw, and 11-4 Bournemouth.
We'll start off with the Southampton fan club's number 1 member, Mark Langdon.
Yeah, Southampton. I think they're just a better team than Bournemouth. I remember making this case when they met at St Mary's towards the end of last year, and they should have won that game. They were twice ahead, but missed an open goal as well, didn't they? Shane Long. And I just do think that when you get to the end of the season, I think Southampton will finish reasonably decently ahead of Bournemouth. Bournemouth only 3 clean sheets in their last 19 matches since the start of February, so that's half a season. Those 3 clean sheets came against Brighton, who'd lost their attack completely under Chris Hughton, Tottenham, who had 9 men, and Huddersfield, who are now struggling at the wrong end of the Championship. Southampton, on the other hand, only 1 goal conceded in the last 4. They could do with Che Adams maybe sort of opening his account, really, but Gineppo looks like an absolute rocket. And he's got a great goal at Sheffield United. I think that they're just a really solid team, Southampton.
Liam, what do you think will happen here?
Yeah, a shade of odds on. I like the look of Southampton as well. I think, they're unbeaten in their last 4 matches in all competitions. I think they'll reach double figures in points with victory in this game. It's as 11 more matches before they did that last season. So they're in a much better position. Hasenhüttl will want them to press Bournemouth, have a lot of shots in the game. Gineppo's look terrific. Obviously, Redmond's still out, but along with the likes of Adams and Boufal, I think they've got enough in the final third to trouble a Bournemouth team who are typically poor away from Dean Court. They lost 13 of their 19 away league assignments last season, and they're yet to keep a clean sheet in the leagues this season as well. And I think Southampton will also know the importance of getting a result in this game, because if you look at their running, it's quite horrendous. Not only have they got that huge cup tie with Portsmouth next week, I believe, the next fixtures are Tottenham, Chelsea, Wolves, Leicester, Man City, Everton and Arsenal. So this is sort of a must-win for them, really, and I think they'll get the job done. 2
votes for Southampton here in the studio. Johnny, what are you going to go for?
If you can make that 3, Southampton home win for me. I think the 10-11 is a good price. I think they'll have too much going forward, Southampton. I like the formation that Husenthal's playing with the 4-2-2-2. And I think the guy Gineppo played very, very well against Sheffield United. And I think him and Ings up front, along with Che Adams, is going to potentially cause them some issues. I think Bournemouth away from home defensively look shaky. And I think the pace of Southampton going forward will certainly have a good chance of scoring a few goals. So yeah, I'm going to go for a home win.
Lovely. The lads are all very much in accordance with one another so far. Let's see what they make of Leicester Spurs. We're doing that next.
Right, 10 seconds to promote Paddy Power Games. Paddy Power Games, Paddy Power Games, Paddy Power Games. Advertising. It's easy when you know how. Paddy Power. Enough of the nonsense. 18+, begambleaware.org.
OK, the first of the Saturday Premier League games takes place at 12:30 at the King Power Stadium. Leicester versus Tottenham. It's live on BT. And Johnny, what is the latest from Paddy Power?
We've got Leicester at 9-5, 23-10 the draw, and Spurs at 7-5.
Liam, this is one of those weekends. There's a lot of very close games. In terms of the betting, there's some real head scratchers, and this is one of them, isn't it? I mean, I'm really looking forward to it because it has the potential to be fantastic, doesn't it? Where would your money be going?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking, and my money would be going on goals in this game as a result. Both teams scoring over 2.5, shade of odds against. Obviously, very difficult, as you said, to split these 2 teams, especially as this is the first time this season we'll see Leicester responding to a league defeat. But goals shouldn't be in short supply in this match. I mean, both teams have scored scored in 4 of the last 5 meetings. We've had memorable scorelines in the last sort of recent seasons, 5-4, 6-1. So I think, you've got to go for goals in this game. And Harry Kane actually is worth a look in the first goal scorer market. Now, that might sound obvious because he's always in the goals, but he's actually averaged a goal every 58 minutes against Leicester since their promotion to the Premier League in 2014. So I'd have a look at Kane in this one.
He got the bird when he was on loan there. They thought he was useless.
Really?
Yeah. He enjoys scoring against them for sure.
Who else did they have on loan then? Because he used to sit on the bench with another loanee who was.
There's that picture of him, Vardy, and Mahrez sitting on the bench.
That's
like
it.
it was in some championship game, wasn't it? Or something like that. Yeah, really weird.
On the bench, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Blimey. Johnny, what are you going to go for?
I'm actually going to go for an obscure one. I'm going to go for a goal to be scored from outside of the penalty area. Shots from outside the penalty area. Leicester are first in the league this season and Spurs are third overall. Leicester have scored 3 out of the 6 goals so far this season from outside the area, and Spurs have scored 3 from 11. So I think it could be a good price.
What price is it?
I think it's about 4-1. I think, roughly off the top of my head. So it could be a good price. I'll have to have a look at that one later on. And I certainly agree with both teams to score here. I think Leicester and Spurs are quite open teams. They like to keep the ball on the floor, and I think both teams to score will be a bet as well here for me.
Interesting. Mark, you were there last week to see your boys demolish my boys, and then they had a bit of a hiccup in Greece in the week. So where are Tottenham, and where are your thoughts on Tottenham?
I think in terms of this game, I mean, I was initially looking at Leicester, but I mean, they are getting quite a lot respected. This is a sort of top 4 Premier League team, sort of around 7-5, or not far off being a pick'em game. And we saw last week when Chelsea went to Wolves and Leicester against Manchester United, these teams had their opportunities to show they deserve to be in sort of the big 6, and neither took it. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I'm just going to have a little dart on that. Spurs have already had a couple of 2-2s. You mentioned that Olympiacos one. Of course, they had the Arsenal game as well. And I just think that where Tottenham are at is a confused team at the moment. They don't look fit. And there's been talk that Pochettino worked them too hard in pre-season, and they look a bit knackered at times. I mean, they were plodding along against Olympiacos. They chucked away the lead there. They chucked it away at Arsenal. They didn't sort of kick on against Newcastle when you're expecting them to sort of put a real effort in. Defensively, not looking good at all, but up front with Son and Kane, you got 2 massive threats. And just on the first goal scorer market, Son had 5 shots against Palace to Kane's 1, and he does seem to be sort of dropping a little bit deeper to allow Son that run. So I think it's going to be a really good game. Struggling to pick a winner, so I'm just going to go for a high scoring.
Yeah, there were some pretty tepid performances there, weren't there?
Ericsson was absolutely useless.
He kept staying on and then bringing another midfielder.
Yeah, the problem was Lucas went down sort of with cramp, and Dele Alli, it was his first start. And
Ali was quiet, wasn't he?
He was pretty quiet, but I mean, he's playing left midfield. That's not where he wants to be playing. And Ndombele was blowing out his backside after about 5 minutes, and he had to come off. He's not fully fit yet either. So you'll see a different Tottenham with Sissoko in midfield, but defensively is the concern at the moment. The 2 Belgians and maybe not looking as secure as what we're used to, and I think Vardy will enjoy playing against them.
I've worked out the best way to sum up Christian Eriksen. He's a man for the small occasion. He's great when you want to beat one of these bottom 10 teams, but against the big sides, he hasn't done it for a while, I don't think.
Hoping Real Madrid and Juventus were watching the tape from yesterday, because they won't want him, will they, on the evidence of that?
Damn right. Mind you, do you want him?
Yeah.
Still love him?
Yeah, well, I mean, love's a bit strong, but I mean, Tottenham are a better team when he's in it usually.
Okay, there's only 3 p.m. games on Saturday because obviously it's the Europa League, so a lot of games on Sunday. We'll spin through them, starting off with Burnley versus Norwich. Johnny, give us a show of betting and then you can go first here.
Burnley 10-11, 13-5 the draw, 13-5 Norwich.
You sound confident.
I'm going to go for a Burnley win actually here. I'm going to go for a Barnes anytime. I think Burnley will be a different proposition to Man City. Norwich obviously have got a lot of injuries, and I just think Burnley at Turf Moor, a very difficult place to go, and I don't think Norwich will be. I think Norwich like to play free-flowing football, and Burnley will try and stifle the life out of them if they can, and I think it probably will be a very low-scoring affair at Turf Moor as well. Could be a cagey match, but I think Burnley will probably have enough, and I probably will back Barnes anytime.
Okay, I love that. Burnley a bit different proposition. Never mind this Man City. It's all very well beating them. You've got to go to Burnley.
You're not going to nick one, sort of them playing out for short.
No, they will not be tapping it around their own 6-yard box, that's for sure. Do you know what? I mean, I know that there is a benefit to playing out from the back. I really do, and I think it probably overall is the best thing. And there was some really good analysis on Monday Night Football about it, just about why. Because you get all these old guys, and why are they doing that? Just lump it. But it does have benefits. But that goal that they conceded City against Norwich, it was just pathetic in anyone's book. When it was just an under sevens goal, that wasn't it?
Yeah,
incredible.
I mean, I think it's more a case probably of just not doing it right. Like it's just sloppy, isn't it?
But if you put a bad touch anywhere on the pitch, you get away with it. But if you do it in your own 6-yard box, it's a goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Burnley v Norwich, Mark. Sorry.
Yeah, glad this one's not on TV. I'd go for a draw. I'd agree with Johnny. I think it could be very low scoring. Norwich not been very good away from home so far. I mean, they've had a couple of difficult matches, of course, at Liverpool, but West Ham, I mean, they were comfortably beaten in that one. I do wonder as well, it's a bit like the old syndrome when you used to beat Phil Taylor in darts, can you actually go and back it up? And this is a different game. But Burnley, they are awkward, but they only had one shot on target at Brighton last week, and it was enough to get them a draw. It so often is, but I find it difficult to back them.
And Norwich's injury problems.
Well, I mean,
sorted. Not that they were problems last week.
I mean, they're not sorted enough. You would assume that long term that is going to be an issue because these are not always just out for like a week. There's quite a few sort of severe absentees there, but they beat Man City with them players last week. So
you're going the draw?
Yeah.
What are you going for, Liam?
I'll go Burnley win. Yeah, Norwich obviously recovering from that sensational win over City, but they're a different beast away from Carrow Road. Lost at Liverpool, Crawley, West Ham this season. And Burnley were fortunate. I know they were fortunate to rescue a point against Brighton, but 7 of their 11 wins last season came at Turf Moor, and obviously they comfortably beat Southampton there at the start of the season on the opening day. So yeah, Burnley win for me.
Next up is Everton versus Sheffield United. What's the latest from Paddy Power here, Johnny?
We've got Everton at 8-13, 13-5 the draw, and Sheffield United 9-2.
Okay, interested to know Mark's thoughts here because I sense you're kind of anti-Everton, Mark.
I am, but I'm probably more anti-Sheffield than most people as well. I think that Everton 8-13. Probably fair enough for your Hackers. I mean, they're very strong at home, Everton. Won their last 6. That includes victories over Chelsea and Manchester United. I wasn't surprised that they lost at Bournemouth. Didn't play that well because I think you can see that coming with them at the moment. For some reason, they just don't do it away from home often enough. But Sheffield United haven't got the kind of quality that Bournemouth have got with Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser and players like that. And I think Sheffield United are looking like at the moment probably the worst of the promoted trio. I know that they've had some good results, but I thought Palace were really terrible when Sheffield United won there. They were 2-0 down at Chelsea before they come back into it in the second half. And I just think that Everton at home are a very different proposition.
So you're happy to rely on the Favs. Are you, Liam?
I'd actually go Sheffield United draw double chance at odds against in this one. I say that because I think although they started the season quite strong at the back, Everton have been so unconvincing defensively of late. It's absolutely awful defending to allow the Callum Wilson goal against Bournemouth, the second one. Now conceded 9 goals in 4 matches against Villa, Lincoln, Wolves and the Cherries. And I just think with the range of attacking options, even with Billy Sharp out, I think Callum Robinson, Ollie McBurney, David McGoldrick, I think those between them should have enough to possibly nick a point at Goodison Park at least.
OK, the lads can't agree on this one, so Johnny, you can have the final say.
I'm going to go home win, Everton for me. I think they'll be too strong going forward. I think Sigurdsson, Calvert-Lewin, Iwobi and Richarlison will be, if they're on song, it could be a long afternoon for the Sheffield United defence. I think, home win here, put it in your rackers. I would recommend that one, I think. OK, next up, a repeat of the FA Cup final. Will it be a repeat of the scoreline? Man City versus Watford. Johnny, take it away with the latest betting. Man City 1-12, 9-1 the draw, and Watford 22-1. Oh, what do we do here, Liam? Man City won the cup final about 18-0, but then they lost to Norwich last week, and Watford look like they're getting a bit better under their new manager. Solve this puzzle for us.
Yeah, I'll go a Man City win and both teams to score. I was actually at Vicarage Road for the Arsenal game, and I don't think I've ever been at a match where there's been such a shift in atmosphere. Watford came out in that second half. I mean, Arsenal were very poor, but at the same time, I think they could sniff blood, and they played very well. 31 shots in the game. And they've got players who can hurt you going forward. Deulofeu, I mean, Maitland-Niles wasn't great at the back, but Deulofeu had quite a good game against Arsenal. They won't get as many opportunities at the Etihad, but I think with the combined absences now of Laporte and John Stones for City, that's got to be of concern to Pep
Stones
Guardiola.
is out as well, is he?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
So who's going to be the centre-backs? Fernandinho and the Otter?
Yeah, I expect so. And I'm not obviously convinced by Otamendi, and obviously the calamitous goal against Norwich as well isn't very good showing for them. So I think, Watford could probably get on the score sheet, but City win. So Man City to win and both teams to score.
There were some interesting stats, actually, again on Monday Night Football about City's centre-back pairings and how they perform. And the stats with Otamendi and Stones together are markedly worse than the others. They really, really were. So that's a big problem, isn't it, Mark? Company and Laporte out for Company's gone, Laporte out for ages. I mean, they have got an issue there.
They have definitely got an issue. I mean, Pep Guardiola coach Javier Mascherano to play there, also Javi Martinez at Bayern Munich. So he does tend to like midfielders dropping into that centre-back position. I tend to think that it was probably a bit of an attitude problem at Norwich as much as sort of defensive issues, like that sloppy mistake, not picking De Bruyne. You're kind of almost saying to Norwich that we don't think you're good enough here. And I didn't understand. De Bruyne had been absolutely brilliant in the international break. 3 assists and a goal, and then he gets dropped. And, I don't think they needed to play him they didn't need to rest him for the Shakhtar game. They were always qualifying for the Champions League group. I'm going to go for Man City to win and over 3.5 goals rather than the both teams to score. It's a roughly the same price. And I think that, you have got Watford's ability to maybe hurt that weakened back four. But if City do get a really strong reaction, then you've also, you've got that going for you. Aguero was rested in Ukraine, both Silvers. So it should be a strong enough team to wallop Watford.
If they lose another centre-back, what happens then? Have they got a sort of half-decent player who only cost about 52 million?
Yeah, well, they've got, Guardiola mentioned a young player called Garcia. I think it's Eric Garcia. But I suspect that I think Cole Walker.
I was going to say
could play there because they spent. Once you factor in Danilo went to Juventus, it was about 50 million, that Cancelo deal. So he played like 1 minute of Premier League action so far in Cancelo. So he could come in at right back, and then you've got that. They could probably go to a back three with maybe Cole Walker and Mendy either side of Otamendi if you wanted to. So I'm sure when they let Company go, he must have had Guardiola plans for absolutely everything. So there would have been a what if we get to injuries at centre half. So I'm assuming that he knows what he's doing.
City's bare bones aren't like most teams' bare bones.
They're not, no. But it is, it's a real fillip for Liverpool, no doubt about it.
Yeah, very much so. Man City, will they wallop Watford, Jonathan Smith?
Yeah, I think they will do. Yeah, I think it'll be a long afternoon for Watford here. And I agree with the Man City winning over 3.5 goals would be a bet here at 8-11. I certainly think that going forward, they've rested Aguero and Silva in the midweek this week, but I do think Watford may well nick a goal. I just think defensively Man City look a little bit shaky without Laporte and Stones. So I just think that the pace of Gray and Deulofeu on the counter attack could cause City some issues, but I think they looked very good on yesterday evening against Donetsk, and I think the Man City winning over 3.5 goals certainly would be a bet for me here.
Okay, it's going to be a glorious day on Saturday, lovely sunny day. So if you're out and about and you're getting back at 5:30, you want to sit down and enjoy a game, you've got Newcastle versus Brighton. It's live on Sky Sports. Johnny, give us the latest betting on this one.
Newcastle 7-5, draw 2-1, and Brighton 2-1.
Another tricky game, Jonathan Smith. You can go first.
I'm going to go for a draw here, a very tricky one to call, but I think St James's Park's not really an easy place to go, and I think Brighton going forward will cause Newcastle some problems, but I can see this one being another low-scoring affair, really, and I think a draw probably would be my bet here.
Do you concur, Mark?
Yeah, I do. I'd probably, I know not all punters like to back the draw, so if you wanted to get with somebody, I'd probably rather have the Brighton draw no bet, but I would also say the draw. Newcastle, Obviously, Willem scored a great goal at Anfield. I mean, you can question maybe the defending for it, but it's still a great goal. But they look so limited. It's amazing to think they won at Tottenham, really. And had they not won at Tottenham, you just imagine it would really be building on Steve Bruce, because the performances, I mean, they're spirited enough, but there just isn't much quality there. Brighton, on the other hand, I think there is some genuine quality. They're like 9th in the possession stats, but they're not translating that into wins. And the football's a lot better than under Potter than what it was under Hugh, and Guardiola praised them for getting 47% possession at the Etihad, and I think they're second now in sort of short goal kicks taken. And it's nicer to watch. But the only game they've won is the one against Watford on the opening day, and since then they've dominated. Like, they dominated Burnley last week, they dominated West Ham. If you're not putting the teams away, they're difficult to sort of back at 2-1 away from home.
Draw for Johnny, draw for Mark. Who for you? What for you, Liam?
Yeah, draw as well. I think it's been a pretty flat, dead rubber. Newcastle will probably be looking to isolate Mopai and stop Brighton playing the expressive football that Potter clearly wants them to play. And despite many sort of tipping Newcastle for the drop, I still think they're going to be relegation candidate this season. They haven't made life easy for teams that have come to Tyneside. Obviously restricted Arsenal to only 2 shots on target in a 1-0 defeat, and then held Watford in their last game. Brighton are without a league win since the opening day, and I think it's only a matter of time. It's obviously very early days in his tenure, but it's probably only a matter of time before a bit of pressure starts to mount on Graham Potter. We had this brilliant start from him, but you need to get points on the board, and it's very frustrating for them last time out to be denied maximum points by what was a solitary shot on target from Burnley. But so I think this time they'll be probably quite happy to take a point against a Newcastle team who like to sit back and defend. So yeah, draw for me in Newcastle Brighton.
Okie doke, let's do the Sunday games next.
Everything is better when it's bigger. Paddy Power's same-game multi allows you to combine a number of selections from a single match into one big bet. Check out the same-game multi tab and get building your bet. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Welcome back to the Racing Post Weekend Football Postcast. It's Bruce Millington, Mark Langdon, Liam Flynn and Paddy Power's Jonathan Smith. 4 Premier League games on Sunday, all taking place in London. So fans from all around the country will come together and have a lovely day out in the capital, I'm sure. All police leave cancelled. 2 p.m, we've got 2 on telly, 2 not on telly. We'll do the TV games first. 2 p.m, West Ham v Man U. Really looking forward to this one. Jonathan Smith, how do Paddy Power bet?
West Ham 23-10, the draw 5-2, and Man United 11-10.
And Mark, it's you to go first.
I'd go for West Ham here. I think take a chance on them. They're usually very good in these big matches. Apart from Man City, who beat them 5, and I think it was 4 the year before. But if you look back to last season, they held Liverpool and Chelsea. They beat Arsenal and Manchester United. They've made a very sort of good start to the season. Not amazing, but had they won against Aston Villa when they were reduced to 10 men, they would have gone up to 3rd in the Premier League. Such is the congested nature of it. And for Manchester United, obviously they beat Leicester last time out. It was their 4th penalty that they've had this season. Now, some of that's down to good play to win the penalty in the first place, but you can't keep getting penalties. And I'm just wondering sort of where, particularly we don't know the injury status of Pogba and Martial and players like that. Just where the firepower is coming from for them. And, Dan James, you can't put him in the top corner every week. So if you put the 2 teams down on paper, I mean, I don't think there'd be that much in it. And I think West Ham, if Man United have still got their injury problems, I think West Ham can definitely cause them problems, going forward. And just think at the prices, I definitely wouldn't be on Manchester United, that's for sure.
By the way, this is they played for both clubs.
Oh, Paul Ince.
Paul Ince, yeah. Keep thinking, Liam, away you go. No, who's going to win? Not they.
Oh, sorry. West Ham again for me as well. I think they were involved in a tight game with Villa on Monday. They played over 20 minutes with 10 men in that match, but they should be happy to return home. So they beat Norwich here 2-0 last time out, and 9 of their 15 wins last season came at home. And it's good to see the relationship between Felipe Anderson, Yarmolenko, and Sebastian Haller up front. It's really blossoming. I think that could be something special, and they can cause problems for United. They've drawn both their away assignments 1-1. And their match with Leicester, in fairness, probably could have gone either way. So I think, West Ham, with the prices, got to be getting with them here. And for play for both clubs, Ravel Morrison as well.
Ravel Morrison, that's very good. Rio Ferdinand.
Seeley, the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Who you got?
Tevez.
Tevez?
Yeah.
Of course he did, yeah. Tevez.
Michael Carrick.
Mascherano. Did he?
No, Mascherano's Liverpool.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Yeah, we've got Carrick, Tevez. We're doing quite well here. Oh, there's one from before your time. Stuart Pearson, the old centre forward. He played for both clubs. Well, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's a strong start.
See if we can get another couple. What's going to happen in the match itself, Jonathan, more importantly?
Ooh, I think this could be a draw. I do think Man United are going to rest and rotate this on the Thursday night against Astana. He's already come out as Solskjaer and said that Axel Tuzembe is going to play instead of, I think, maybe Maguire or Lindelof at centre-half. So he's going to rotate, and I do think Man United will cause West Ham some problems going forward. But I think they've always done well at home of West Ham against the top end teams in terms of that top six, with the exception of Man City, obviously the first day of the season. I think I'm going to go for a draw. I think that's probably a good price. Or West Ham draw, no bet.
No love for Man United. Any more?
Javier
Hernandez, yeah, of course, yeah, very good. There's a few there, isn't there?
Yeah, I feel like there's probably more actually as well. Yeah.
Okay, well if there are, just blurt them out as usual. Next up, 4:30, Chelsea versus Liverpool. What a biggie this one is. Takes place at Stamford Bridge. It's live on Sky Sports. Jonathan, latest betting.
Chelsea 13-5, the draw 13-5, and Liverpool 10-11.
Big old test for Frank Lampard, Liam, isn't it, and his team. Can you have Liverpool odds on away to Chelsea?
Yeah, I can definitely. I think their hopes of Chelsea's hopes of causing an upset here could actually hinge on whether or not Mason Mount returns. Obviously, after picking up that injury against Valencia, it sounds like he may. I don't think it's as serious as it first looked. But even with him in their side, I think they're defensively vulnerable. That's not helped by doubts over the fitness of Rudiger and Kante as well. Beaten by Valencia in midweek, conceded 2 against Wolves and still without a clean sheet this season. Liverpool 5 wins from 5. Arguably they haven't been particularly tested yet. You could say Arsenal probably the biggest test they had, and that wasn't much of a test at Anfield. But I think Salah, Firmino and Mane can just cause all sorts of problems for Chelsea, especially if Lampard opts for that back three, which he's tried to sort of introduce to limit the number of goals they're conceding, and it's just not paying off. So I think his wait for a first league win at Stamford Bridge could go on. And Liverpool for me.
Who for you, Johnny?
I'm going to go Liverpool win, and I'm going to go both teams to score. I think Chelsea are going to miss Mason Mount. Could be a key factor for them. I wasn't impressed with the back three against Valencia. I thought they were far too open in the midweek Champions League game. I think they missed Kante to break the play down along with Rudiger, and I think the front three of Liverpool, Mane, Salah and Firmino, are just going to cause them problems. And I certainly think Liverpool have the vulnerability to concede a goal. Obviously, Abraham's on fine form at the moment, and I think Liverpool win and both teams to score will be my bet here.
Mark, before you tell us what the bet here is, are you starting to think that Liverpool with the 5-point start now? It's obviously a perfect first few weeks for Liverpool and Klopp, isn't it? Should they be a little closer in the betting, 2-5, 6-4 kind of thing? I
feel they should be a bit closer. I still would have Man City as favourites, but it's definitely coming. I think that Liverpool have had a nice start to the season, and you can, like Norwich and Newcastle, they probably are going to win those games at home, just all the time. And away from home against Burnley, I didn't think they were doing that great until Alexander-Arnold scored the fluke, and then it opens up for them. And City have got their injuries now. We don't know yet whether Liverpool are going to get any, and their depth would concern me. I think that is the biggest problem they've got, is if one of those front three goes down, the backup option. We're talking about City's backup options. Origi, and then it's
Lana, Shaqiri.
Yeah, it's not and the way Firmino knits the other two together, like Origi's completely different footballer. That's a concern, and that's why I think that City still probably just about deserve to be favourites, and they'll still fancy their chances of winning the head-to-head with Liverpool to get right back in it.
Okay, and in the context of Sunday's game?
Yeah, I thought I was going to like Liverpool, but then the more I looked at it, the more I was struggling to have them at odds-on away from home at Stamford Bridge, just because they only won once away to one of the big six last season. That was Tottenham at Wembley. And then I looked a bit further. They only actually won 3 away games to the top 10. And it was obviously, that's what cost them. They had a lot of draws away from home, Everton and West Ham and teams like that. So even if you think that Hazard's departure has hurt Chelsea to such an extent that they're not top 6 anymore, I still think that even like when they beat Wolves and Leicester, it was a hard work for them, them games last season. And I'm not as downbeat on the defence at Chelsea. I mean, they conceded 2 goals against Wolves, but it was in garbage time. I mean, the game was already over by that point. And I just think if Kante comes back, and Lampard, when he was speaking pre-Valencia, suggested that he would, I think that will solve a lot of their problems in that area. So I wouldn't. It's probably not. It's probably. I'm edging towards a no bet. But probably the draw would be the way I would go. I don't like Liverpool odds on to win this game. I think there's probably better odds on shots to be had.
Okie doke, 2 non-televised Premier League games. First of all, 2 o'clock, Selhurst Park, Palace Wolves. Johnny, what's the latest betting here?
Palace 17-10, 2-1 the draw, Wolves 7-4.
Palace are your team in focus this week, which you can read at racingpost.com. I haven't dared yet because I can't bear the thought of you absolutely ripping them to shreds after Tottenham did likewise last week. But can they bounce back here, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I'm going to go Wolves draw no bet. I think that obviously the Wolves are playing on the Thursday night, but the start that they've made, I think that Nuno maybe has to start prioritising the Premier League a little bit. And I just have to look at Palace because in isolation you can lose to Tottenham. There's no problem with that. Even a heavy 4-0, the expected goals wasn't that wide a margin. But I thought the Palace were really off it. Sacco looked like it was his first game of the season. Zaha was sulking in the first half, came alive a little bit in the second half when he moved wider left, having started up front. But they've only scored 3 goals this season, so they've done quite well to get the points that they've got, and they probably should have lost at Manchester United as well. If you look back at the stats of that game, there was a missed penalty. The Villa game, Villa were down to 10 men and had a goal wrongly ruled out, in injury.
To be fair, we were good value for that win.
Yeah,
we were, honestly.
Yeah, but you haven't
very
got much up front.
No, I know we haven't. I'm just saying we were good, but that's more anti-Villa than pro-up.
Yeah. I mean, and even if you've got the, even if you have the play, I don't really see where the goals are coming from, even with Ayew, having scored twice this season. And I thought for Wolves, the Tomori goal, some people said it was a great strike. I thought it was a bit of a fluke, really. I wasn't sure. What happened. It didn't look like something that Wolves could have done a lot about, really.
Got the keeper off balance.
Yeah, it was
like on the wrong heel, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like it wasn't anything structurally they did wrong, and I think that sort of then gave the impetus, even more so to Chelsea. But over last season, Wolves were a really good Premier League team, and I don't think they've become a bad one.
Okay. I'd say the only thing I would say is that Wolves like teams to come at them, and I'm not sure Palace will. So, if anyone wants to back a 0-0, I wouldn't blame him. It's not on telly. You don't have to sit through it. Liam, what do you think will happen?
Yeah, you talked about games being close this weekend. I think this is one of them, and I'd go with the draw. The result was obviously landed in 3 of Wolves' 5 league games this season. They could be a touch lethargic from playing in the Europa League. I agree with Mark.
They're at home now, aren't they?
They are, yeah, so it's not the travelling. But I think nonetheless, they've got quite a small squad. I agree with Mark that they have to prioritise the league at the moment because obviously group stage, you've got time to recover from early ball results. I think they'll beat Braga in fairness. But and I just think the counter-attacking nature of these two teams could see them sort of potentially cancel each other out. And they drew 16 matches between them in the league last season. And I think that's probably the way to go. Okay.
And Johnny, what's your view here?
I agree. I think the draws looks a good bet here. This Wolves match against Braga will be their 11th competitive match this season so far. So I do think Wolves perhaps could be feeling the effects of this, and I think it's definitely has affected the Premier League form, even though they've had a couple of tough games to start the season. I think a draw here. I certainly think under 2.5 goals probably is a good bet here, and I wouldn't put anybody backing off the 0-0 either.
No, nor would I. What price would you be this to be last on Match of the Day 2? I mean, it could be 5s on. Literally could be 5s on. Couldn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's going to need. Given the other games that are taking place on Sunday, it's probably going to need a 3-2 or 3-3 for it to be on first, and even then, it's going to need Chelsea and Liverpool to be an absolute stinker.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, it's good.
Okay, right. 4:30. Arsenal versus the Villa. And how did Paddy Power bet on this one, Johnny?
Arsenal 4-11, 7-2 the draw, and Aston Villa 7-1.
Actually, this is an Alan Brazil. He calls them both the derby, isn't it? The Arsenal, the Villa. Who do you fancy, Johnny?
Arsenal winning over 2.5 goals in this one, I think, for me. I think Arsenal looked really good against Watford in the first half, but we're all over the place in the second half defensively. The goal, I've listened to a stat that Arsenal have completed 14 errors that have led to goals in the last 43 matches. So they're due an error in them, but I do think they'll have enough firepower going forward with Aubameyang, Pepe and Lacazette against Aston Villa, and I think they'll be far too strong here.
Okay, Mark, do you echo that sentiment?
I mean, Paddy Power are quite short here. There's some firms looking to really take Arsenal on, probably because they've conceded the most shots in Europe this season, which isn't a good look, even if you have played Liverpool and Tottenham. But we haven't learned anything new about Arsenal this season. They struggle against the best teams. They're not great away from home. They generally beat this type of opponent at the Emirates, and they tend to do it quite well. Arsenal to win and Aubameyang to score is 5-6, and I think that's maybe the way I'd look to get with Arsenal. Already got 5 goals in the Premier League this season. He got 22 last season. Lacazette out injured, so he'll almost certainly be played right through the middle. And I think that Villa, you mentioned they weren't great at Palace. They conceded 3 against Tottenham. The goals came late, but they deserve to come, and I'm not sure about them. They've done probably okay for a promoted team. Dean Smith was talking about this. He said, we are playoff winners, and there's this kind of, because they're Aston Villa, because they've won a European Cup, you kind of, and their fans maybe expect a little bit more than what an ordinary playoff team would expect, but they are...
They're a zillion points behind Norwich last season.
Yeah, they were. That's basically the point he was making as well, and, I think they are what they are.
And they look really toothless up front. I don't like that Wesley at all.
No, I mean, they're nice in midfield, but... that you want somebody, I think, that's really going to hurt Arsenal, and I'm not sure that Wesley's the man to do that.
The only team that can hurt Arsenal these days is Arsenal in these kind of games, isn't it? I mean, you were in the away end where you were at Watford. You must have absolutely, that second half, you must have been having your burger and your fries and your pint at half time if you got served. Did you bring your ID with you?
Yes, I did bring my ID, yeah.
You must have been cock-a-hoop. And I only tuned in for the second half. I thought if Wenger had delivered that performance, they would have chased him out of the club. It was pathetic, wasn't it? It was absolutely dreadful. So, what's going to happen here?
It was absolutely shambolic. And like I said, in terms of atmosphere, I've never seen it turn so much from one half to the next. Just Arsenal all over the place. I thought Emery, I'm a big fan of Emery, but I thought he made some really bad decisions in that game. Bringing off Ceballos, who's, for me, the only player in midfield who could keep hold of the ball. I thought Ozil was poor as well. And I just wasn't impressed at all with Arsenal defensively.
He was just getting bored of that song that the Arsenal
absolutely, yeah.
The whole of the first half, he thought, I'm getting him off because stop him singing that.
And I think as well, he's got this weird obsession with playing like this narrow diamond at the moment, which just doesn't suit us at all. So I think, firstly, looking at the Europa League game against Frankfurt, I fear for Arsenal in that, and I'll probably be at odds against, I think about 23-20 or something. I'll be looking at Frankfurt to win that game. They've obviously had a big shift in personnel with the likes of Luka Jovic and Sebastian Haller and Rebic all leaving. But they've still got some good players up front. Bastos, most notably, and Arsenal's away record just puts me off of them in that game. And then looking at the Villa game, I think Aston Villa to score in the first half at 17-10 could be quite a good bet. I can just see Arsenal starting this game really slowly, having played in the Europa League on Thursday in a tough game away to Frankfurt. And as you said, faced 96 shots this season, more than any team in Europe. Wouldn't be surprised to see them fall behind against Villa. So yeah, Villa to score in the first half.
When is Bellerin back?
I'm not sure. I think he's reaching closer. I think him, Tierney and Holding are back in training now.
That is one of their big problems, because I don't like hammering young players, but Maitland-Niles, you cannot play him at right back. He's a total liability in there.
I actually think Holding is probably the best centre half, so I'm looking forward to seeing him come back at least, but we'll see.
Interesting Sunday that. Okay, let's see what else the lads fancy. Don't give your naps away, but I want to know what you like further down the divisions and if there's anything in Europe. What have you got, Mark?
I had loads last week. Not so much this week.
They all go well?
They
washed their face, did they?
Yeah, it was definitely profitable. This week, outside of that, Bradford to beat Carlisle. Bradford were sort of the hyped up team in League Two. They haven't started great, but you have a look at the sort of the last 7 matches, 1-4. The 3 games that they lost were against teams that are currently in the top 6. So Carlisle are not to that standard, and Bradford missed a lot of chances in the 3-2 defeat at Cheltenham on Tuesday with Donaldson and Vaughan up front. Generally speaking, I mean, they shouldn't pass up those opportunities too often. And then in Europe, it's not a proper Basque derby, but still two Basque teams. Athletic Bilbao to beat Alaves. Athletic are really, really strong at home traditionally. They've already beaten Barcelona and Sociedad to 0. And Alaves, they were sort of the remarkable Cinderella team of last season. They were pushing for Champions League, eventually finished, I think it was down in 11th spot. They've lost quite a lot of players that took them, so close to Europe last year. And at the moment, the front sort of pairing, Joselu and Lucas Perez. Joselu's got a couple of goals, but he's the only player that scored for them. They've only had 5 shots on target in 4 matches. So Athletic Bilbao probably a solid odds-on home shot if you want to double them up. Napoli at Lecce.
Rightio, Liam, what have you got?
Yeah, I've got 2 bets in Europe. Firstly, Sevilla to beat Real Madrid. The big 2 in Spain have both faltered. I think Real Madrid and Barcelona have looked poor at the start of La Liga season, and Sevilla have capitalised, 10 points from 4 games. Julen Lopetegui, perfect start, really. I don't think many people expected him to have such an immediate impact, especially with all the new players they've had coming in this summer. I think they can beat Madrid, who this is a remarkable statistic, which I had to check about 3 times, but they failed to register a single shot on target for the first time in 578 official matches against Paris Saint-Germain, which, like I say, I couldn't believe. I had to check several times, but absolutely remarkable.
What, you went through all 500?
Went scroll through Wikipedia. And then the other game, I think, is in the Bundesliga, Monday night game, Wolfsburg to beat Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim, really, they've struggled since Nagelsmann's left, unsurprisingly, and obviously I think Demirbay and Amiri's departures have hurt them a little bit. Lost 3-0 at home to a very strong Freiburg team at the weekend, and should be opposed against Wolfsburg, who've got 2 wins and 2 draws from their own 4 Bundesliga matches.
We're getting to the part of the show where the lads throw out these names and I nod like I've got a clue they all are. Great knowledge. Johnny, what have you got for us?
I'm going to go for Ipswich away at Gillingham. I think 5-4 is good value. They've done very well so far this season. Caden Jackson and Norwood up front are scoring for fun, and they've only conceded 4 goals so far this season of Ipswich. So I think there might be a bit of value away at Gillingham. Gillingham can be a bit hit and miss, but I think 5-4 I'd certainly take a
Would you fancy Ipswich to win League One this season, do you think, at this stage, Johnny?
Yeah, I probably would. After Lincoln obviously got rid of Cowley, I think that's a massive loss for Lincoln in my anti-post bet. So I think, I'd probably turn my attention now towards Ipswich, I think.
Tell me about it. Not only have I backed Lincoln, I've also sold Huddersfield points and backed them to go down. So that wasn't good news. But anyway, that's the way it goes with anti-post betting. Thank you very much, chaps. Let's get the naps.
This will not be beaten.
Got a feeling mine might be nabbed by the others, but I'll let them go first. Mark?
Preston North End away at Birmingham, draw no bet. Birmingham are having a remarkably good season considering they don't have any shots or the ball, but they're 23rd in shots, 23rd in possession, 20th in the table for shots on target. Just unsustainable, really, the way it's going. If you look back to the first day of the season, they had 1 effort against Brentford. It was a header from outside the box and still won 1-0. But most of their play's not great. 16-year-old Bellingham has sort of saved them the last couple of weeks, and could be an absolute superstar, of course. But Preston going really well, nicely balanced team. And I fully expect them to leave St Andrews with at least a point.
They scored with a header outside the box. Yeah. Was that from a sort of goalkeeper punch clearance and he nodded it over him, or an actual just bona fide cross came in and he nutted it from 20
Pedersen,
yards?
It was remarkable. The XG, probably about that. Harry Kane had a shot from inside his own half, didn't he, against Man City? I think it was about the same as that, really. It's ridiculous.
What's your nap, Liam?
I'll go Crewe to beat Salford. A shade of odds on. Crewe established themselves as probably one of the strongest sides in League Two now, 2nd in the division, 18 points from 9 games, and Salford haven't impressed as many expected them to. Won only twice this season. They were arguably lucky to have beaten Grimsby last time out. They didn't. I think they lost a shot count in that one. So Crewe to beat Salford.
And Johnny, what have you got?
I'm going for Forest Green here to beat lowly Stevenage. I think Forest Green have looked very assured at the back, and they haven't scored that many this season, but I think they'll have enough in the tank to beat Stevenage here at home, and I think the 21-20 that's on offer is a great price. So okay. I would go for Forest Green.
So we've got Forest Green. Remind me again, lads.
I've got Preston draw no bet.
Draw no bet.
Crew to beat Salford.
Crew to beat Salford. I'm going to go West Ham draw no bet against Man United. So Johnny, you'll enhance that one for us, will you?
Yeah, definitely. We'll get that enhanced and sorted and put out on site later on today.
Lovely. So if you go to paddypower.com, football specials, you will get the Postcast ACCA, and that will be an enhanced price. Lovely stuff, chaps. What's the weekend plans, Mark? You going to take in a game?
Yeah, Wimbledon versus Bristol Rovers. Wimbledon struggling, aren't they? They're the wrong end of League One at the moment. Bristol Rovers just started to perk up a bit. Clark Harris up front's a real handful for them. So
Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm massively looking forward to it, but it'd be good enough.
Excellent. What about you, Liam? Are you going to watch some football?
Yeah, not going to a game on Saturday, but I've got a long overdue tour of the Emirates that I'm going along to, which will be interesting.
What do you mean, a tour of the...
Yeah, Emirates Stadium tour.
All right.
Yeah,
just as a tourist?
Yeah. Well, no, they do like the run tours, so I've never been on that before. So yeah.
You are a season ticket holder, though, aren't you?
No.
Aren't you?
No.
Oh, okay.
Can't afford it.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah, I should hope not. Be overpaying you. I should be at Palace Wolves on Sunday, not with a great sense of anticipation, but hopefully it'll be okay. Johnny, what have you got lined up, my friend?
Oh, I'm in work all weekend. I'll be in the office, so I'll be watching everything on Sky and BT. So yeah, that's my weekend.
Who have your beloved Leeds got this weekend?
Leeds United are at home to
it's Derby. Yeah. It's the repeat of that playoff semi, isn't it? Yeah, that could be a bit feisty, couldn't it?
Yeah, and I think we're probably too short, to be honest, at 4-11. I think it's a bit of a, I don't know. I certainly won't be rushing to back it, but it should be a good game. So, yeah.
I know. Alan Byrne, our boss, is a Leeds fan.
I tipped them at the start of the season. Normally, when you tip a team, it's normally rival fans that get the ump over tipping them. And this was like Leeds fan. No. We
you had the boss come out threatening to sack.
I mean, like miles the best team in the Championship. Doesn't mean they'll win it, of course, but they are easily the best team, isn't it?
I backed Forest this week to be promoted. Can you defend that one, lads? Mark?
They're quite good, aren't they, at getting like result. They're a solid team. I'd be disappointed if in the rest of the Championship if they do go up, but they are.
Thanks.
No, but they are plotting a route to to the top six. It looks like they're quite a shrewd sort of defensive team that can nick points. I mean, I don't know.
Is there anyone lurking down there who's made a better start than maybe the odds suggest?
I suppose QPR. I'm sort of thinking they can't. They're not a team that you look at on paper and think, yeah, they're a top six team, but they're playing really, really well. They've got a different test though on Saturday, Millwall away. So we know the young players, Eze and Chair, are knocking it around, and you've now got to go and prove you can sort of deal with the set pieces and the hostility that comes with Millwall away. So that would be an interesting game, I think, to see how they come through it.
Liam, anything caught your eye down the lower end of the Championship?
In the Championship, not particularly. I think, Reading, I think, at the start of the season, before they made all those signings, I thought they could be a tip to go down, but obviously Postcast is an excellent addition to their front line, so I think they'll be safe now. And then dropping down into League One, I think Ipswich are a great bet to win the title now. I just think they've started terrifically, and then with Norwood and Caden Jackson up front, they've got plenty of goals in them as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed, chaps. Don't forget, if you enjoy the shows, please make sure you rate, review and subscribe wherever you are listening to us. If you're on YouTube and you've got any fancies, please comment, drop them down in the comments section. We'll give them a read. And if you tip a big price treble or ACCA, we might even give you a shout next week. We've got racing tomorrow, golf on Wednesday, and then we're back next Thursday for another Racing Post football postcast.
Friends, or maybe more. Earn a 20 quid free bet for every friend you refer to Paddy Power, thanks to our Friends with Benefits programme. Log in to your Paddy Power account and share your referral link to get started. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.